Welcome to all those who have come to attend this session on value-added plantation, including rubber. The keynote speaker was to be the executive director of Rubber Board, but unfortunately he got held up in a meeting with the Union Minister, Piyush Goyal, at the Empira House. He has informed that it may not be possible for him to join us. So in his absence, I will try to just open the subject to all of you. I request the speakers for this session to come onto the dais. Mr. Rajiv Budiraja, Mr. Vinod Simon, Dr. James Jacob, Dr. R. Mukhopadhyay, Dr. K. Matthew Abraham. Please join us on the dais. There are many familiar faces here in front of me, mostly from the rubber and light sector. I won't take much time in introducing the topic to me. As you know, Kerala is traditionally considered as the plantation enclave of India. Even today, Kerala accounts for 37% of all plantations in the country. The agroclimatic conditions in Kerala have been very suitable for the cultivation of plantation crops. And mainly when we talk about plantation crops, we mean tea, coffee, rubber and cardamom, which have been exempted from land ceiling. And they account for 30% of the gross cropped area of the state. There are more than 1 million growers for these four crops. It is the largest employer in the state, employing more than 5 lakh workers. Value of output of these four plantation crops is around 15,000 crore annually. There are other, of course, as you know, there are other crops which can be classified as plantation crops: pepper, cashew, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, turmeric, etc. But since they didn't get any exemption under the Land Ceiling Act, normally these four crops are considered as the plantation crops in Kerala. Most of the challenges faced by these four crops and others which I mentioned are similar: increasing share of senile plantations, declining productivity, prolonged spell of low prices amidst rise of cost of production, adverse climate changes, sustainability issues, deforestation, regulations which come in very regularly. As we all know, we need to develop multifaceted strategies for meeting these challenges and to constantly update the plantation sector viable, especially in the context of dominant share of small holdings. Most of these crops are now, I think, the number of small holders may be more than the large plantations, percentage-wise. Historically, Kerala has been an agrarian economy, but over the years, we have been trying to move into the manufacturing sector, have big industries coming in. Kerala Industrial Policy of 2023 highlighted the importance of resource-based industrialization and defined high value-added rubber products and high-tech farming and value-added plantation produce as priority sectors, among other priority sectors. Since I've been with the rubber sector for some time, I know mostly of natural rubber than any other plantation crop. I'll just add a few more words about the natural rubber. It's the most important plantation crop in Kerala in terms of area under cultivation, value of output and number of growers, workers involved. It's also, NR, as you know, is a raw material for the industry. And it's a raw material with the highest potential for value addition. Around 70% of rubber is used globally in transport sector, mainly as tires and other auto components. And there are thousands of other latex and dry rubber products used in medical, industrial, textile, sports, household and other sectors. Annual value of output of world rubber products manufacturing industry is around 800 billion US dollars. And annual world export of rubber products is USD 171 billion. So it may be a small crop to us, but it's a very important natural resource for the entire world. India has got a well-established manufacturing sector with an annual output of around 135,000 crore and export of around 36,000 crore. The potential to grow is there and it is immense. Kerala, though has been very successful in growing rubber, still produces around 70% of the natural rubber the country produces, but consumption-wise is only 10% of whatever is produced in Kerala. So you can understand the huge potential for value addition which we need to explore. There are around 700 rubber products manufacturing units in Kerala, predominantly in the MSME sector, with relatively very small scale of operation. Around 40% of them have annual license capacity below 25 tons of natural rubber. That's the use only below 25 tons of natural rubber in a year. So only around 8% of them have an annual license capacity about 500 tons of natural rubber. It is in this context that, of course, standing here, I would like to say 2 sentences about the company which I represent, Kerala Rubber Limited. So, government has formed Kerala Rubber Limited with the hope and look forward to. They hope that this company will form a basis for improving the value addition of natural rubber produced in the state. So, it plans to establish an industrial complex with integrated common facilities and industrial plots for investors to come in and start enterprises. It's located not very far from Ernakulam city. It's a business model. It will be a PPP with entrepreneurs free to establish their own units and investors free to invest in the company. We will be looking into the research aspects of natural rubber. Whatever rubber board is not doing, the company will take up, and also skill development and other such things which the industry needs. It will be purely from the industrial point of view, and we are not into pure research. So I will not prolong my speech. I'll stop here and let the industry experts speak to you, and there will be time for interaction afterwards. I think we will start with tire, because tire is the sector which consumes 65% of the natural rubber produced in the country, plus they import for their consumption a substantial portion of the rubber required by them. I'll introduce Mr. Rajiv Budiraja. I'll introduce all the speakers first, and then probably you can speak. So Rajiv Budiraja is the Director General of Automotive Tire Manufacturers Association, ATMA, based in Delhi. He'll be speaking as he wishes. He can speak on any subject, but rubber, I hope, will form part of it. Mr. Vinod Simon, he is the Executive Director of Simco Firm, Chennai. He was former President of All India Rubber Industries Association and former Chairman of the Rubber Skill and Plastic Chemicals Skill Development Council, which covers the entire non-tire sector. Dr. James Jacob, I hope you just acknowledge who you are, people may not know. Dr. James, Mr. Vinod Simon. Dr. James Jacob, he was former Director of Rubber Research Institute of Rubber Board and currently Managing Director of Plantation Corporation of Kerala. Dr. R. Mukhopadhyay is Director and CEO of Harishankar Singhaina Elastometer and Tire Research Institute, Hasetri, Mysuru. He has been heading the research wing of JK Tires for a long time. Dr. K. Merkley Abraham is President of the United Planters Association of Southern India, UBASI. It's the largest organization of plantation companies based in Kunnur, and is also heads the Kanandevan Hills Plantation Company Private Limited. It's the biggest plantation owner in Kerala. So now I would request Dr. Budiraja to speak. Maybe we will, in the interest of keeping the time, limit to 8 to 10 seconds so that people have time to. No, sorry, minutes.
Madam Thomas, for your opening remarks. Uh, I've had the opportunity of being a part of the rubber board when Madam Sheila Thomas was the chairperson. So, from her to say that, what can be done for the rubber sector in Kerala is like, carrying coal to Newcastle, but I would make an attempt. And I'm also picking up from one of her remarks which said that Kerala accounts for 70% of the total India's natural rubber production, but accounts for only 10% of consumption. With that as a backdrop, and also, there is a tire sector, tire companies having manufacturing presence in Kerala. But let me now slightly shift gears. Uh, I had not mentally prepared anything, but sitting on the dais, I just googled to check that what is the total number of hospital beds in Kerala, and it's about 100,000. About 65,000 in the government sector and 35,000 in the private sector. The total number of nurses which are passing out of Kerala is about 15,000 every year. So technically, and this has been going on as a process, for several years. So technically, if you were to see, in 5 to 6 years, Kerala should have, more than an ideal ratio of nurses for Kerala hospitals to meet their own requirement or, demand. Now the example that I have given is because typically when we talk about value addition in Kerala for rubber sector, the mindset just goes to hardcore either tire manufacturing sector or the non-tire sector. And let's see if there is a perspective slightly away from that or beyond that also. Unfortunately, we all know that for various reasons, manufacturing sector has not had a very significant footprint in Kerala to the extent of the availability of this particular critical raw material, and it could be attributed to a number of factors. But looking beyond the boundaries of that, what could be, what could be done in terms of adding that value to that sector? So let's start with some of the allied areas, for example, and I am predominantly going to be looking at 2 or 3 service aspects of the tire industry, and and then leave it at that. And I'm sure my fellow panelists here would perhaps try to build on that. So, assuming that with such a sort of rich background and rich understanding of rubber, which literally I think in Kerala latex runs in the veins of people. The moment I sit in a cab from the airport, the driver starts talking about rubber, and the hotel service guy talks about rubber, and the MSME and micro, and a shopkeeper talks about rubber. So I think we somehow have not looked beyond the hardcore manufacturing rubber as rubber value added product. There is a huge opportunity today in terms of the services aspect of any industry, and I am now talking about, say, the rubber testing infrastructure. We just stepped out of a meeting which was going on, and it was figured out that we do not have a world-class rubber, testing laboratory here in this part of the region. IRMRA is there, and they have a branch in Tamil Nadu. But let's say in Kerala, where rubber runs, in the veins, if there was to be truly a global class, testing infrastructure where you could say it's competing not just with the ASEAN countries but the rest of the world also in terms of product testing. You could get rubber products all the way from the neighboring states and getting them tested here in Kerala. That's a huge opportunity. 100% literacy in Kerala, we all know that. I mean, Kerala has been a front runner on that. Have we built on that as a building block? For the tire sector, for instance, I was just checking with Dr. Mukhopadhyay. What are the areas? Huge opportunity in R&D in the tire sector. Now, again, it requires a complete understanding of the entire manufacturing process of tire sector, and then picking up or breaking it down into areas where the service aspect of the human intervention or the R&D sort of intervention coming from skilled manpower is there. That's another huge opportunity. You could be looking at the manufacturing aspect of where the skilled manpower from Kerala could be working and operating plants within the country or even perhaps outside the country. Today Indian companies are having a footprint outside of India as well in terms of manufacturing bases. So if we could have a manufacturing facility there, or if we could be exporting manpower then why not the human capital of the state, which is fortunately endowed with such good grounding and understanding. So I think from the government side, from the corporate side, some kind of working models, a PPP model where spotlight on current technology that is needed by the industry, future requirements of skilled human manpower which are required for manufacturing in rubber sector within the country and perhaps outside the country. These are all big opportunities which need to be looked at beyond, as I said, the hardcore tire manufacturing or the non-tire rubber goods sector. So I would just try to kind of take a pause here and leave it only as a thought with this august and distinguished group and a gathering having deep understanding of the rubber sector, that the services aspect of rubber. See, unfortunately, rubber is a hardcore plantation or agri product, but doesn't get consumed there. The consumption is in industry. Now, industry also predominantly hardcore manufacturing. The sunrise aspect of the rubber sector is unfortunately not visible. In fact, I was just talking to Mr. Simon, his son having studied in US, coming back, he's again gone into a startup into the IT or today's emerging sunrise sectors. But that is not to say that it's not adding to the state's knowledge pool or the state capital formation that would eventually happen. So look at opportunities beyond that, try to converge towards that in terms of both the financial resources, the human resources with support from the state, the corporate framework that is there, and I think a great future awaits this state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buduraja. Yes, said much but didn't say much. The opportunities in the of probably presenting tire as a sunrise industry is something which is getting explored. Not just the tire sector, of course. Even tire sector, there are so many areas where it can become a sunrise industry. Non-tire, of course. The areas are huge and vast. So I will stop there and now request Dr. Vinod Simon to speak a few words. 8 to 10 minutes. Thank you, Vigneshwari, for your presence. She is one person who helped KRL a lot as collector of Kottayam. Then she decided to move on to Idiki. Okay.
Madam Sheila Thomas, dignitaries on the dais and of the dais and my dear friends, a very good evening. As Rajiv mentioned, my son after his studies in the US came back to Chennai and he didn't take up the rubber business that I run. It took me, I tried to convince him but he didn't. I failed, but subsequently he started his own startup in the IT business. So today I've been given a task to convince all of you to get into the rubber industry. So let me try my luck with all of you, which didn't work with my son. My current scope, what I've been asked to speak on, is about the Indian non-tire sector, particularly with respect to Kerala. Since some of you are new to the sector, I'll just give you a small snapshot of what is happening in the non-tire sector. Currently, there are around 5,000 plus registered rubber product manufacturing units in India. Close to about 1,500 are there in the unregistered sector. But let us, for sake of numbers, stick to around 5,000 for the non-tire sector in India. In that, Kerala tops the list. Close to about, as Madam said, close to about 700 manufacturing units are in Kerala. So which means roughly about 15% of those units are currently lying in Kerala. But the best part is the manufacturing of rubber happens right across India. It's not just limited to Kerala or to Chennai. Almost 24-25 states in India today have rubber product manufacturing. So it's spread across north, south, east and west. If you look at the major composition of units, of course tire is close to about between 60 to 80 units, predominantly most, and about 400-500 are the medium sized sector, but predominantly about 85% are in the small and tiny sector. The Indian non-tire industry had a turnover of roughly around 45,000 crores a year back, and employing close to about 400,000 to 450,000. So a little less than 500,000 people are employed directly in the non-tire sector. So you can now start calculating 15% of that for Kerala. We should be having close to about 60-70,000 people employed directly in the non-tire sector, and turnover close to about 7,000-8,000 crores. The geographical coverage, if you see, other than Kerala, we have a lot of manufacturing units in Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu, which are second and third in terms of manufacturing size, and of course in North India as well. The major products in the non-tire sector are molded goods. Molded goods, I mean, are mostly automobile components are the largest. I think close to about 1,200-300 units will be in the auto component sector, and not many of them are in Kerala. They are mostly located around Chennai, Bombay, Pune, and in north around Noida and Gurgaon, because that's where the auto sector is. So about 1,200-300 units are in the auto component sector. Tread rubber is the other product, which is got a large number of units. Footwear, dip goods, adhesives, extruded rubber goods, rubberized coir, jute, rubber sheetings which go in for flooring, sports goods. You don't find that again much in Kerala. You find sports goods mostly in Punjab and north of India. You have gloves, rubber lining, hoses, rubber mattings, beltings, rubber covered rollers, foam products and surgical products. These are some of the major classification of rubber products, non-tire products that are manufactured across India. Now I'm going into Kerala. Predominantly is in manufacturing of tread rubber. Tread rubber is the highest in Kerala. We also have a lot of rubber and coir mats manufacturing units, footwear, dip goods and foam products. And they are mostly located in clusters around Ernakulam. There's a rubber park also here. We also have a cluster of units in Thrissur in that area. Quite a few are there in Alapi, and many units are in and around Kottayam. So these are the major manufacturing clusters of non-tire products in and around, which are predominantly there in Kerala. Going into the exports of rubber products. Last year from India, close to about 14,000 crore of products were exported out of India. The major countries which are taking the Indian products are US, UK, Germany. A lot of products are going to the UAE and Russia. These are some of the major countries which are taking rubber products. The products which are exported more are beltings, pipes and hoses, floor coverings and mats, gaskets and washers, contraceptives, bicycle tires, tubes and surgical gloves and gaskets. So 14,000 crores actually, from what the figure madam told earlier, it's only about 3% of the market share that we have got globally. We are doing 14,000 crores, but it's only about 3% of the total export value of rubber products in the world. So you can understand the potential that is lying for exporting rubber products. But the most concerning part is the import of rubber products that is happening into the country, which is actually creating the collateral damage to the industry. I took a figure which was saying that close to about 10,000 crores worth of rubber products were imported into the country. Now, we could argue the case that yes, it is coming at a low import duty of 5 to 10%. We have been arguing this case with the government about inverted duty structure, but the debate still continues. There's been no respite still. But even then, even looking at that, the Indian rubber industry has an advantage of 10% of the duty over price and transport. Still, we are not able to compete against the products coming from outside India. Now, if you look at it in terms of how many units it is affecting, if you put a small scale industry doing about average 10 crore or 12 crore turnover in a year, we are talking of 1,000 units could have actually replaced these rubber products coming into the country. 1,000 into about 30-40 people working in these industries, you're talking of employment for another 30 to 40,000 people. Not taking into account even the taxes and duties which the government will earn and the investment which goes into starting these units. So right away, there is a potential of 800 to 1,000 units coming in to just counter the import of rubber products coming to the country. If you look at the market share available for exporting rubber products, sky is the limit. Even if you double from where we are today to about 28,000 crores, we are still at only about 6% of the global market share in exports. So that's a huge potential for manufacturing of non-tire rubber products in the country, especially in Kerala. But why haven't we reached there? I find one of the reasons is lack of proper technology available to entrepreneurs. Even now, many of the industries that are running are not using the best technology. They may be using a certain good technology, but it's not the best in the world where you are able to compete against other non-tire producers around the world. This is where I feel intervention from the government, rubber board, especially from industrial parks like Madam was referring to, which is heading now, the Kerala Rubber Limited. Industry parks must take on priority to ensure the best technology is available to the entrepreneurs at a reasonable cost. Availability of machinery to manufacture the right technology also available at the right cost. Industrial parks are the only way forward for setting up industries. I think this isolated locations for industries are not going to work anymore because it is extremely difficult to manage costs if you are isolated industry. But industrial parks which come with a plug and play model where you have the infrastructure readily available, testing facilities available, 30 days clearance is available, you can just plug and start the industry without much loss of time. So I would urge the government of Kerala through industrial parks like KRL to ensure that priority on right technology, availability of capital funds and machinery at a lower cost, and request, and I'm sure entrepreneurs will come into industrial parks to set up industries. I would also request entrepreneurs in Kerala not to look at the regular products. I took some time to mention all the products that are manufactured today. Some are there in Kerala, but lots are not manufactured in Kerala. Sports good. It's a huge export market for sports good around the world, but we are not making anything in Kerala today. Why not? So let's look at new products, niche products, products which are not there today. We could innovate and bring out new products And that is where we could be world leaders in non-tire industry manufacturing. I won't take more time. I hope I have passed on a little bit of information that I carried. I hope it was useful, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Vinod Simon. That I'm sure would attract at least few to become entrepreneurs and start manufacturing new products. Thank you. Now I request Dr. James Jacob, 8 to 10 minutes.
Respected Madam Sheila Thomas, fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Value-added plantation, including rubber. So the previous two speakers have dealt with rubber exclusively. So it is including rubber. Can I go to the first? Not that one. So when you talk about value addition of plantation producers, we're basically going to talk about, looking beyond the plantations. That is, from the plantations to the factories. What are the challenges and opportunities? Moving from a plantation-based economy to a post-plantation economy, tie-ups between producers, primary sector and the industry for mutual benefit, and what the Plantation Corporation of Kerala can offer to the manufacturing industry. So I'll be basically covering on these 3 points in the next 10 minutes or so. Rubber in Kerala is a century of lost economic opportunity of colossal proportions. For example, if you look at the value of output of the entire industry, it must be somewhere around 120, 125 lakh crore. And the value of the primary sector, that is the production sector, is hardly 8 to 10%. And whatever rubber we are producing in Kerala, the primary processing is done 100% in Kerala. I must apologize to the rubber experts from outside Kerala here that, I'm talking from a rubber-centric and a Kerala-centric point of view. Because that's what I have been asked to do, because invest in Kerala, right? So, because from the rubber board, we would always talk from the country's perspective, but it is Kerala-centric. And therefore, the first thing I want to say is that, we lost a lot of money to our brothers and sisters outside Kerala. That's okay. But if you want to start industry, the only industry, or most of the industry that when we say industry, rubber industry, we mean the primary processing industry, which is part of the primary sector. So we convert, and all the rubber, all the latex, all the scrap, all the KSIDC into sheet or Cenex or whatever. So that is the industry that we are doing. See, historically we enjoyed monopoly, even now we are enjoying monopoly, or near monopoly. Something like almost 70% of the rubber produced in the country comes from Kerala, but hardly 8 to 10% goes into industrial consumption in Kerala. So if you look at the number of units, and it can be highly misleading, especially in the non-tire MSME sector, because the giants are actually the tire people, and we don't have a big tire industry footprint in India, to borrow the term from Mr. Rudraja. So the most of the industry is elsewhere in the country, where practically no rubber has been cultivated or is being cultivated right now. So Kerala's role has been primarily confined to producing a very high value industrial raw material and exporting it to, during the colonial days we would produce raw materials like cotton, etc., and give to the colonial masters in So historically Kerala's lost big time on rubber industry. Now we are trying to fix it. This gathering is also part of that effort. We're trying to fix it. As Madam also mentioned, there is an enabling environment now. Policies are being rewritten and making it more industry friendly. ease of doing business, number one in the country, industry-friendly climate, sorry. But do we have the larger industrial ecosystem available in the state? For example, large industries, tire industries, cannot exist in isolation from the other associated industries which are not there in Kerala. But rubber-based MSMEs, when we talk about rubber-based MSMEs, it will be known synthetic rubber as well, because the proportion of natural rubber, generally speaking, going into the MSME non-tire products is relatively large. Synthetic rubber. When we talk about value-added plantations, we are implying, we're not implying, we mean natural rubber, not synthetic rubber. But synthetic rubbers are essential part of the industry, no doubt about that. So we have, the R&D part, government-sponsored R&D. We have the Rubber Incubation Center in the rubber board, which can really cater to MSMEs very well. And I believe there is one exhibition here of a product that is incubated out of the rubber board thing. So historically, we lost on the industry part, and right now, are we losing out on production also? Now the three lines are self-explanatory, okay? Most of the increase in area, so okay, y-axis is actually area in so many thousand hectares. And you see the area in Kerala has plateaued and rest of India is increasing, and it should increase. No doubt about that, we need rubber. But sustaining rubber farming in Kerala is important for the state because of these critical parameters. Because it occupies so much area, it contributes to the agrarian economy of the state, etc. The numbers are self-explanatory. So it's important for the state, and even for political reasons, because there's a huge vote bank there. You see, more than 1.3 million households directly related to plantations and plantation-related activities. Sustaining rubber planting farming in Kerala is equally, if not more equally, important for the industry, because there is already huge deficit in domestic rubber production. It's maybe around 40 plus or minus a couple of points this way, that way. And the deficit is projected to widen, and over dependence of a critical industry like tire industry or the rubber industry in general on imported raw material is not desirable. It is not desirable for commercial reasons. It is not desirable for political reasons. Because there is a lot of drain in the foreign exchange. And there is no guarantee that cheap rubber will be always available in the international for importing into the country. So it is important for the rubber products manufacturing industry also to see that rubber is cultivated or rubber is produced in India, definitely, not necessarily in Kerala, in India, yeah. But despite our best efforts to expand rubber cultivation to other places outside Kerala, for the foreseeable future, at least for several decades, the country will not even make 40% of its requirement if Kerala is not supplying rubber. That means sustaining rubber farming in Kerala is important for the industry also. In Kerala, most of the value addition happens in primary processing, where there is this much money. We are compelled to do that. We make Senate sheets, whatever, Those things are, those producers, not products, they are farm producers, are marketable forms. They are not products to be used by a rubber consumer. So when we say rubber factory in Kerala, we actually mean a Senex factory or a block rubber factory. historically. So that is our mindset. But there are innovations in processing. See, all the processing technologies were developed in rubber growing countries, naturally. Not in the United States, by and large. Not in South Korea, not in Japan, not in Northern Europe, because these countries don't grow rubber, so they don't have access to the raw material for doing the primary processing. So, Southeast Asia did, we are doing, because we have to do that, we have to basically dry it or concentrate it, that's all. So that somebody else who is smarter than us can make useful products. And for that same reason, not much R&D had actually gone into the primary processing sector. If you look at the history, until very recently, but maybe 10 years, 15 years, now things are changing. And even rubber consuming countries are into primary processing because they know they can save money if they add, for example, whatever, Madhu is there, polymeric fillers or silica or whatever in the liquid, not exactly liquid or in the, in the latex stage itself. Because the industry, for example, when you make one tire, 1/3 of the energy goes into mastication. And there is no need for you to masticate your dried rubber. If the industry, I mean tire industry, not the small guys in Kerala, the big tire industry, if they can come and invest in primary processing in Kerala, well, there will be difficulties, yes. And scale up a couple of innovations from RRA, which cannot be incubated in the lab-based incubation center. We need large factories. So this is all about latex phase incorporation. I think for that I will use 1 or 2 slides to say a little bit about cashew, because we are also producing cashew plantation corporation. Okay, but technically cashew is not a plantation, not by definition, but there are issues here also because of imports, cheaper imports, and no pesticides with the cashew labor claim. So you cannot legally put pesticides in cashew plantations because it is not labeled for cashew. There is no aggressive marketing. Kannur cashew or the Malabar cashew, Kannur cashew is perhaps one of the best quality cashews produced anywhere in the world. And there is no marketing strategy. Possibly a GI tag. I think that is my last one. So the cashew sector, or from the plantation corporation side, we have the following things to offer to potential investors: latex, scrap, coagulant for the processing industry, ISNR for the dry rubber products manufacturing industry, Senex for the dip goods, raw cashew nuts, including organically certified, and also fresh fruit bunches from the oil palm. We have the captive source, so we can ensure seamless supply and highest quality. Looking beyond, looking for business opportunities, we are looking for partners to tie up with partners for marketing certified organic cashew or various cashew apple products, not only cashew nut, cashew apple, we have cashew apple products, and we are looking for partners. That's my last one. Finally, I want to go back to the first slide. No, don't go. It talks about value added plantation, rubber included. So this is one way of adding value to the plantation. This is a resort under the Plantation Corporation of Kerala, which is literally bringing value to my plantation. This is also commercially, this is available for people. We invite you to come and stay there. For further information, visit us there. Thank you so much.
Dr. James Jacob, he has raised a lot of issues which needs to be debated and then found solutions. Thank you. Now I request Dr. R. Mukhopadhyay, who has his number of years of experience in the rubber sector is too large for me to explain. Thank you.
Respected Sheila Madam, my dear colleagues, good afternoon to all of you. Good afternoon. Thank you. Because your body and mind should be there next 10 minutes, what I'm saying. See, we talked about the natural rubber. As you know, this 1776, first the natural rubber has been in the bank of Amazon River. And the name rubber given by the inventor of oxygen, the Priestley, because it has got a rubbing action. Now we have more or less 248 years crossed this rubber still. Rubber is an indispensable material. From the birth control to space, you require rubber. Let us understand. And people tried to substitute rubber with the different materials. Not possible. But this is the only material. You are surprised to know, I just always will tell you, how important in rubber it is. A tire, a 14-inch diameter, one rotation about cross 1 meter. And for 1 kilometer, 1,000 rotation. About 60 to 80 millions of cycles, the tire has to go without any failure. That's the rubber. So the durability and safety of the automobile comes of the durability of safety of the rubber. Whether it is a tire or engine mounting, bushes, brake hose, everything. About hundreds of components, especially IC engine, the number of components is more than 100. EV it will be less than 100. So without rubber, the mobility of the society will stop. Anything, any transportations, any two substrate under dynamic condition, you require a rubber. But natural rubber, it is very clear why natural rubber is important for all of us. Because, there is the driver for change of the industry. There are two things. One is the legislation regulation. Second is the sustainability and circularity. All of you know this. Then third is coming emerging technology. Fourth is coming cost and performance. And a new type of, the automobile sector is also changing from IC to hybrid to electrical to fuel cell and hydrogen. As the automobile sector is changing, rubber component also is going to change equally. So what I would like to say, the natural rubber is a sustainable material. Why it is, as per the definition of United Nations, it is biodegradable than the synthetic rubber. Natural rubber degrades faster than the synthetic rubber, number one. Number two, it is a carbon dioxide, acts as a carbon dioxide sink, is a carbon positive. Number three, it supports the economics. Millions of people, they depends on the natural rubber plantation. Fourth is climate change mitigation. Now, actually, as you know, the EUDR, the European Union Deforestation Free Regulations is coming. They know that if the natural rubber plantation, you cut it, either the traceability has to become, you cannot export the rubber product to MSME sectors if they do not follow the transparency of the traceability. The rubber is coming from, whether they're traders or suppliers. Rubber is coming from the deforestation land or the fresh land. This is another thing that is coming. Second comes the sustainable forest management and sustainable practice along the value chain. So the natural rubber has got a really unique position compared to the synthetic rubber. But what I consider more than 50 years in the rubber industry. When I did my PhD in IIT Kharagpur, I was in Kottayam for 3 months in the rubber board. So that is 1975 and 76. So, after that I following the rubber board, lot of the Rubber Research Institute, they have grown about I think the production is peaked about the highest in all these southeastern countries, about 1800 kg per hectare. But today it is reduced, I came to know, 800 to 1200, so on. So this is another area, the yield, how to increase that one. But today we are whatever our position today, we are the 5th or 6th in the natural rubber production. Our requirement is about 1.4 million tons. We are producing around 850,000 tons. There is a huge gap, more or less. So the tire industry required the natural rubber, and here the rubber board, state government of Kerala and the central government, even include the tire industry. As you know, Mr. Rajiv Budher did not mention, I think so the ATMA and the Minister of Industry Commerce together, 2 lakh hectares the plantation is doing in the northeast. And they are coming as, I think so more than about 100,000 hectares, 1 lakh hectares already planted. 125 hectare already planted. But that will also not be sufficient enough. So the Kerala has to come out, natural rubber, how to increase the yield, whether the plantations can be done. Second point is the value addition. It is very clear. Research and development is not necessarily you have infrastructure. Today, the Kerala, I know there are the QSET and MG University, and you have a rubber board, and you have a rubber research institute, and also there are a lot of polytechnics. The manpower is available. There are certain infrastructure available. There is very clear value addition. The latex-based toys. I am also the president of Indian Rubber Material Research Institute. The government of India, Ministry of Textile and other, they have given a project for to create the toy testing laboratory, toy research. Anybody interested in the latex-based toy, they can really in touch with the Indian Rubber Material Research Institute in Thane, and they have incubation centers they are doing, and this is a huge potential for the latex-based toys. Or there are the balloons which are normally that you can be designed, the special types of which is happening including the Pakistan, they are doing it. In the Malaysia, Thailand, beside that one. So there's huge potential valuation on that. Second is what Jacob has mentioned about the latex carbon black, latex silica master batch. It is very clear. This is the things as for the sustainability, you require the energy consumption, water consumption, design cycle time removal. So latex carbon black or latex silica filler batches is one of the area one can look at. But I came to know some of the foreigners they are looking for. We are working with them to establish the plant in Kerala. They are looking for salt. I think so. There are potential in that direction. The investment may come if somebody come forward in the joint ventures. Second point is another would like to mention, whatever development R&D is required, the terminal is called decoupling technology. What is decoupling technology? That means body has to grow. When you are growing, environmental impact has to be reduced. You have to decouple the growth with the environment. Then you have to decouple the growth with the resource consumption. This is produce more with less material. Less material means less resources, not only the manpower, energy, water, and so on. So if this concept, it is not necessary. Suppose you are in the latex processing, you require a lot of waters. What do you do with the waters? Can you recycle it and again to come, or can it be done in the closed loop? The energy, even the smoke house and others, what you are doing today, can use the solar power, can use the other source of energy. So when you ultimately what is happening, as I hope all of you are there, this is called ISCC certification, International Sustainable Carbon Certification. So you have to really export the product tomorrow. If you are not ISCC plus certification, your product will be the special, the tariff barriers, you get extra tariff. So especially European countries. So anybody want to export near futures, the factory or the production, including natural rubber, they have to ISCC plus certifications. So this type of awareness is required. Last but not least, what I would like to tell, that people, see tomorrow the materials, machine, everything is available. It is the people who will decide how they are getting a good quality product at a competitive price. That is a trained or skilled manpower. In that direction, I am also the chairman of Indian Rubber Institute. We are creating in Mysore a center of excellence for polymer science and rubber technology at the JSS University campus. We are going to inaugurate on the end of April. The huge auditorium with the classrooms and other. And we want to see this is a nodal center of southern India for the technical manpower development for tire and non-tire industry, including the technology development. Because while considering not only the natural rubber, why not Kerala, the synthetic rubber, especially electrical vehicles are coming. Now today, the number of rubber components reduced, but number of specialty rubber will go there itself. So that type of technology, we should not concentrate it on the natural rubber. We see that the synthetic rubber is available globally, import and value added, give to the auto rubber components. As you know, the Chennai is the Detroit of India. Most of the automobile manufacturers, most of the tire industry, most of the raw material suppliers, they are coming. So the Kerala also think about it. Let us, beside the rubber, we are doing natural rubber, yes, very good. How you can MSME sectors, auto rubber companies, another area, where the investment is can be the skilled manpower available in Kerala. The market is available in South India. And simple example, let us TVS Group, the way they are exporting the auto rubber components use. I don't find that some type of here, such type of Kerala, there's retailing manufacturers there, there are certain solid tire manufacturers there, but especially you have a Apollo Tires, their factory here itself. So how we can attract these, if you have I'm selecting the people from all over the, but I get a lot of Kerala people, they are coming appointed here. Why not those trained and skilled manpower with some startup system given with the support of the government and the rubber board, so that MSME sectors can come in a big way. And last, I would like to tell, any help is required for technology development. See, we have a R&D centers in Mysore, we have Hasetti, and we try to, anybody can visit, we have a world-class laboratory testing facility. We are also making a rubber part testing laboratory will come. But in the meantime, the facility is available. If anybody is interested, they can come. We are trying to help whatever the technology is required for any parts, including today the petro-based material to replaced by the bio-based material. Use of the different bio-based material also, we are working in that direction. With this few words, I hope, thank you very much for giving me the time to say it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mukhopadhyay. We will certainly use the offer which you have made of coming to Hasetri and probably modeling our testing and other facilities on that. Thank you. Now, the last speaker for the day is Mr. Matthew Abraham, President of UPASI. He is a very important speaker because he represents everything else, excluding rubber, everything else. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction. Madam Sheila Thomas, my fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud privilege to be here today on this to speak about value-added plantation, including rubber. While we already have had the rubber experts speak on rubber, I would just probably add a little bit on what else we would seek from rubber for the producers, especially for the plantations, because we also would look at agroforestry and carbon sequestration and carbon credits. I'll probably touch upon that towards the end. Just a brief on what the plantations, the role that the plantations in Kerala play. It is the backbone of the rural economy. Kerala is the plantation capital of India. We have almost 1 million growers. We have employ almost 500,000 permanent employees. We would have at least another 50% of that. In addition, would be casual labor. We also have, the revenues touching close to around 18 to 20,000 crores annually, and we have exports touching close to around 3,500 crores. So very important industry, and I think most importantly, we pay the highest wages in India, and hence probably it is the most ethical plantation produce in a sense, if you can say that so, if you can mention it so. We also would like to say that as this is an Invest Kerala Summit, the opportunity is that you wouldn't get a better opportunity because we have the government of Kerala, the Chief Minister, the Industries Minister, and the higher officials of the Industries Department making sea changes, and I must congratulate them first of all for having the Plantation Directorate, which is the first of its kind in India. And that shows the intent on how aggressive they are in turning around the plantation industry in Kerala. I would also like to congratulate the government of Kerala for, first of all, carrying out the first of its kind IIM study where the plantation issues of the Kerala plantations have been studied. I believe now the report has also already been submitted to the Plantation Directorate, and we are very confident that there's going to be a lot of positive change, and this is probably the right time to invest. We could get in investments into the plantation industries for value addition. And briefly, I would like to also touch upon other commodities like tea, coffee, cardamom, and pepper. and the issues that we have and what we plan to do and what's the way forward that we see. The biggest challenge, of course, is being a labor-intensive industry and having the highest wages. Our cost of production is always skyrocketing. So the important thing here is again that we have to invest in technology, we have to automate, which we are doing, most of us are doing. We have for tea, we have battery operated shears at the moment, which is really changing the game for us. It's improving, almost doubling the productivity. It's also helping us to improve not only the employee productivity, it also helps us to improve harvesting efficiencies, which also has an indirect benefit on the land productivity. Now, land productivity improvement, it's a long-term investment that needs to be made, where we are looking at replanting with higher yielding and better clones. So these are the issues that we face, and to add to that, we are seeing climate change where most of our probably produce is getting affected. Our production is getting affected, which is increasing the cost of production, and that's where the sustainability of the industry comes into play. And coming to that point, I think we have issues that we need to look into, basically value addition. And there is a beautiful model that we have seen that is in Dubai. We have the DMCC, which is a Dubai multi-commodity center, where you have, it's like an industrial park, where you have the state-of-the-art warehousing facilities, state-of-the-art packaging facilities. So this is something that I would strongly suggest that if there are investors to look into this opportunity in Kerala, because we are looking at GI tagging. We've seen the Robusta coffee of Wayanad, which has got the GI tag. So these are huge value additions that we look at. So this one commodity warehousing and a specialty high-end packaging center could change the game for the plantation industry in Kerala. We could move, even a small producer could use the facilities, package it, and also brand it and retail it, not only in India, also export it abroad. Because as far as pesticides are concerned, the plantation produced in Kerala, probably especially tea, coffee, and most of the other produce, pepper, we hardly use pesticides. Generally, it's only around 0.5 liters per hectare annually, as compared to the rest of the regions where it is much higher. So we have, these are the advantages that we have with the Kerala produce. We can also market it as sustainable produces. Basically, we have Rainforest Alliance certification for tea and coffee. We have, you could also add fair trade certifications. Most of our plantations have that. We have trustee certifications. So if you look at it, it's a very compliant plantation produce that we have in Kerala, and this is what we need to leverage. We need to have probably the important points, highlight the important points of the produce, basically whether it's the high-grown teas of Munnar, where you have a very high flavor index which would compete with Darjeeling, or whether it is the Robusta coffee of Wayanad. For that matter, the coffee, I think we need to look at GI tagging of the coffee, cardamom and pepper, also in Idiki, because I think why not? These are quality produce, and this is where we need to look at value addition, and we need to look at packaging, because being in a commodity business, unless you value add and unless you go into the branding and the B2C in the retail business, there is no future, because there is a limit to which you can cut costs and be viable. Now, finally, I would also look at there are a couple of things. We have our plantation, which is in Munnar, which is we had an exercise which we had a foreign agency called Lansing coming in from Norway, doing a 1 year, satellite mapping of our areas, estimating the carbon that we've been sequestering from our landscape. So we realized that we are not only just carbon neutral, we are carbon positive by a big margin. So when we talk about carbon positive, you are eligible for carbon credits. But then the only issue is you have to prove additionality. This is where maybe we need to look at, partnerships where there are people who are ready to come and invest. We have opportunities of investing in biochar, making opportunities where there is a huge amount of money to be made, and it could be a big ticket item for the plantations in Kerala. Finally, I would also think that there is an opportunity. We have submitted our views on agroforestry when the IIM study was conducted. We have in agroforestry, besides improving the biodiversity, I think most importantly, there is also an opportunity for multi-cropping. That is, you could have timber. Kerala and India imports so much of timber that it is, and we, if we just allow our plantations to harvest timber, we would save so much of foreign exchange. So I think this is where we need to really look hard into what are the things that are, the low-hanging fruits. These are the low-hanging fruits where even a rubber plantation can, the timber from rubber can be a high-value item. So this is something that we need to look at, and accordingly, we also need to look at, the carbon part of it. That's where I think the rubber trees, as far as carbon sequestration is concerned, one tree in its lifetime probably sequesters close to 3.2 tons of CO2 equivalent, maybe in 15-20 years, and it emits close to 1.6 tons of oxygen. So these are phenomenal planetary services that are going from our landscape, and there is no problem, possibly there is no value that has been put to it. It's time that this needs to be recognized, and these are probably, besides sustainability certifications, being climate positive, carbon neutral and net negative is something that not only is good for the plantation industry, it's something for Kerala to be proud about. That's all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Ms. Matthew Abraham. We had a very interesting session where we had almost all sectors of the rubber and plantation industry speaking to the persons who have come to listen to them, starting from excluding rubber, the other plantation crops, Mr. Matthew Abraham, Dr. Mohovadhyay, who has opened up the avenues which are available for probable investment, areas which we don't normally think of. And Mr. Budaraja, of course, has set up the non-tire sector and the huge potential it has and Kerala's advantages in it. Mr. Vinod Simon also talked about, like, he couldn't interest his own son, but then he was trying to woo the youngsters into the rubber sector and the vast opportunities that it offers, whether it is in the to be termed as a sunlight industry or otherwise also. And of course, Dr. James Jacob, he spoke on behalf of his organization, but he was also speaking from the vast experience he has in the rubber sector of how Kerala has missed out many opportunities. Of course, every state will have stories about missed opportunities. I also look at it that Kerala also has missed opportunities, but then we may have other opportunities which we can make use of. So we have some time. The session is open for some questions. I'm sure that there are persons who want to ask questions to these experts who are sitting here. The session is open for that. Thank you.
You want to start with somebody there, or should I start?
Please, second.
So, good evening, everybody in the dais. evening, everybody on the dais. I hope you can hear me. I think we are in a situation in Kerala where we are expecting somebody else to solve our problems. I'm not experienced as people on the dais, but let me give an example of Cambodia. It was way behind Kerala in terms of natural rubber production. They have gone ahead, maybe not in size, but they're able to sell far more effectively. I think the issue in Kerala is we're not looking how to improve efficiency, that means the quantity we can do, we're looking to reduce cost. And more importantly, as long as we're a commodity, and if I could be very dispassionate, I will buy from the lowest cost producer. So we have to move to value addition. Now the rubber industry talks about liquid mixing. Kerala can pioneer that. Don't wait for the tire industry to invest. If Kerala can produce carbon master batch, silica master batch at the right price, the tire players will buy it. So I'm very surprised when Kerala says we are not able to do things. There's so much that can be done. Change some of the policies, make it friendly. It will happen. There is enough that can happen out here. If we just do compounding and export to Europe, I can personally assure you, we can take all the rubber that's there in Kerala. But will there be right support? And I think that's what has to happen. It's not that there is no opportunity here. There's tremendous opportunity. Question is there will? And I'm just going to leave it at that point of time and hear from the dais what you'll have to say.
No, Invest Kerala itself shows that there is a will. So I'm sure that things will move forward. Kerala has taken a lot of decisions pro-industry, which will also help the persons who are primary producers, along with the industry people. So there has definitely been a change over the years, and I'm sure that things will pick up a faster pace. Thank you. I would also request the persons who ask the questions to please introduce themselves. Because John Powell, his face, it must be familiar to most people. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I am Rajivan, formerly in Rubber Board as an extension officer, and now associated with KRL as a resource person. Today, we have been hearing about the concern regarding non-availability of raw material in right quantity and the quality. Likewise, there was mention about the wide gap between the production potential and the actual production. So, what I want to say here is, industry, that means the investment required not only in the production of value-added products, but in rubber production also, we can do very good investments in the present scenario. Because the present plantations, there is no enough production because of the lack of interest from the new generation, lack of labor, sufficient labor. All these are contributing to the lower production. So something we have to think out of the box. That means you have to think of an event management mode in plantation development, plantation management, plantation maintenance, harvesting, and post-harvest processing. In all these sectors, if we take a right approach with the intervention of good investors, our present R&D as well as new inventions, together there is immense potential for new investments in the state. That is very much essential to sustain the rubber industry here.
Thank you, Rajivan. I would request questions rather than suggestions from people. Okay, thank you. Any questions?
J.K. Thomas from Malakara Plantations. I have one correction to make for Mr. Rajiv Budhiraja's statement. 70% of the hospital beds are in the private sector, not in the public sector. And 80% of the healthcare is provided by the private sector in Kerala. Mr. Vinod Simon said that one of the reasons why our products are not finding place, or we are not able to make products that are competitive in the international market or in the domestic market is because of the lack of technical knowledge. What surprises me, and I hope Dr. James will answer, is that we have the most knowledgeable person as far as technical knowledge is concerned. I'd like to know why he doesn't start up a rubber industry. Yeah, to James.
James.
Yeah, he's technically the most qualified person in this room. Why doesn't he start up a rubber industry? Then we will also know what we are lacking.
I think funding is required from the Kerala government.
Funding is not at all a problem. You can get any amount of funds. There's no dearth of funds.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if you are asking that
See,
to
people like you
to
and
the-
people on the rubber board who have the technical knowledge, why are they not starting an industry, rubber industry in Kerala?
you are not addressing that question to the managing director of a plantation company, right? Generally.
Certainly not.
See, this is exactly what Mr. Pawat was also saying. Where is that drive? Where is that need? But I disagree with you humbly that government together with the growers alone can solve the problem. No. Unless industry, big industry, tire industry also
Yes,
comes
blame
on board,
gaming.
we will
Blame
not
gaming.
have these things.
You're blame
The
gaming.
point
They
is,
are already
yeah,
doing
going
what
back to
they
your
have to
question.
do. Why are you not
It is
doing
not
what?
the capital, it is not the human resource, it is not the knowledge, yet it is the market.
It's the same
Unless
thing
we
with
have
rubber
a
prices.
market.
If rubber prices are there, we'll produce 10 times this. The prices are not good. Here, why are you not starting? You technical knowledge is with you. You have all the experience and the expertise. Why are you not starting?
Certainly, we will try to persuade them to start. Thank you.
Yes.
Madam, again, not a question in that sense. But see, the FDIs in plantation has been permitted long time back by the government of India. 100% FDI is permitted, but not a single FDI has gone into plantations in Kerala. We need to look into that. We have the capability, we have every technology, whatever we want to do. But the problem lies somewhere, as you mentioned, you are very right saying that things are changing. We agree with 100%. Last 10 years, we have been seeing a lot of changes. But somewhere we need to have a relook entirely into the plantation sector and see how we can add value to every inch of land, whether it is through crops, not through crops, industrial activity, whatever is possible, without disturbing the nature of plantation. Therein where we will be able to unlock the value. Kerala has 11.28 hectares of land under plantations, and we say there is no land available in the state. There is enough potential in plantation sector. One of the maximum potential is there in plantation sector, and if it is going to, FDI is going to come through, it will improve our plantation sector considerably. That may be the way of development, or we become so developed tomorrow that FDI, we attract FDI. One of these two things. But what I'm just saying is that there is immense. I think we need to relook into entirely unleashing the value of plantation sector in any form that is possible. Not only in the form of tea and rubber or coffee that we produce in this plantation. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Raman.
Okay, I'm Dr. Dinesh. Okay. I'm Dr. Dinesh. I'm the registrar of Kerala University of Fisheries and Ocean Studies. So actually, we had a discussion on carbon sequestration. So we are on a mission to do it through the microalgal production and all. So I want to have what is the suggestion for this one in the carbon sequestration. So we have extensive plantation lands and paddy fields and so on. So what will be the way out? Because we are actually doing some research on that. So Kufos wants to know about it. And secondly, sir, Plantation Corporation itself. So much land is, I think, getting keeping idle in many places, I believe. In which ways that this carbon sequestration idea, or else the idea of producing other sorts of proteins like the BSF production, and or how your plantation area can be utilized for that in a recycling mode. The protein will be produced, or the meal will be produced, and that will be recycled back to the plantation crops that way. Thank you very much.
I'd like to say something on that.
As far as the carbon study is concerned, before you have to register the project document. So first of all, you have to hire an agency. You have ENY, you can have Varaha. There are many agencies who do carbon studies and estimation, and then they submit it. So you have to submit it to any of the registries. That is, you have Gold Standard, which is a premium registry where the premium is very high. You can get anywhere in the $15 to $25 range. You also have Vera Standard, Gold Standard. You have GCC that's come up. So there are various standards that are there, registries. So first of all, you have to have a baseline study done before you start. You have to prove additionality. Now this is the most important thing. You have to prove additionality. That these are the activities you've done, and that is why there is additionality, and that is why there is an increase in carbon sequestration, and that is what qualifies for the carbon credit. So you have to make a proper project document, and you need to hire any of these agencies and then submit it to the any of the registries. They will then appoint an external verifier to come and verify your project, and that's an independent agency who will come and verify it, and they have their submission. If you qualify for all the queries, then they submit it back to the registry, and the registry would come back again. There would be some pushback from there, but ultimately then they have to issue the carbon credits after that if you qualify. So here you have to prove the baseline, and then what are the additional steps you have taken to increase carbon sequestration. That's where the money comes.
All right. Good evening. I am Dr. Karipura Raman. I am basically an entrepreneur. We have a unit in Special Economic Zone Cochin and Kinfra Park in Palghat. We make latex gloves. My problem is we sign up with the global customers on a pricing. What help MD Plantation Corporation can do on getting us latex on a pricing? Because I sign up with global customers on a specific price. My latex price, it's a commodity price. Every week it goes up. So I have problem in my pricing across the world. So whether we can have a standardized price agreement on a yearly basis so that your business will go up. I have a constant quality supply, whether this can be looked at with financial funding or whatever support. Thank you. And one question you missed out is he asked you a real estate question of Dr. Dinesh. Asked the land part. That also if you can. He was asking how the land can or something like that.
I will answer the last question first. You want good quality latex from us? Yes, we can give you. In fact, we make the best quality latex anywhere in the country, because 100% of our latex or our Senex comes from our own captive source. The same day we are spinning it. So you look at the VFA, throughout the history of the Plantation Corporation of Kerala, we have lot of negatives, productivity, no trees, we are, elephants are grazing, etc. But our VFA is one of the best. Not one of the best, the best. And you want fresh latex, we can give you. You want Senex, we can give you. Terms and conditions, we are a PSU. So we go through that procedure of transparent competitive pricing. We can enter into an agreement for 1 year supply. Okay? But reference value, but through a mechanism. Coming back to your question, why we are not sequestering carbon in the wasteland. Sir, carbon sequestration merely means plants are growing. Carbon sequestration means plants are growing and plants are storing carbon. That's all. So carbon sequestration is carbon stock. Carbon stock is not equal to carbon credit, period. Then how can you convert carbon stock into carbon credit? That is, we can have a one day seminar on that, discussion on that. You want to talk about that? I am available. In fact, the first seminar or conference on carbon trading, carbon stock, I organized in RRIA, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. And that was a time when I invited big giants from the tire industry, saying that, would you like to come over here? We are going to have a, brainstorming on carbon trading. And that gentleman said, oh no, James, we don't sell carbon, we will buy only carbon. And that company, later on I came to know that sold immense quantities of carbon credits. Not from the plantation, but they changed from a highly emitting source of fuel to, I think it is CNG. It is a tire industry. But then these are, confidential matters, so we cannot. There is one plantation company chief executive sitting here, I cannot name him, who has done this, or is in the process of trying to get carbon credits for our plantations. I cannot name him, because it's not correct, but I'm looking at him and he's smiling back at me. So you want to talk to him, or you can talk to him, later on. It's a very interesting area. But then these, sir, all plantation producers, we are not just carbon neutral, we are carbon negative actually. See, 1 ton of, or 1 kilo of the carbon footprint of natural rubber from a 30-year plantation cycle study that we have done. All these things started when Madam Sheila Thomas was the chairman there. It's a big push at every venue. And in fact, anywhere in the world, the rubber plantation sector, the talk about carbon credit, carbon trading, or climate change, because it's all related to climate change, this all started from Kottayam. Yeah. Anyway, carbon credit from plantation is a complicated issue, but we are talking, carbon footprint of natural rubber is about minus 15 something, close to minus 15. Whereas carbon footprint of synthetic rubber is plus 8 to 12, depending upon which species of synthetic rubber we are talking. If you are asking me, there is a carbon trading potential there, there is a good potential. But the voluntary carbon trading market, where there are unscrupulous project developers and verifiers and certifiers throughout the world, it has become a scandal in the voluntary market. One last point, ma'am. Last year, Government of India have gazetted a carbon market in India. It's a voluntary market in which plantations are not mentioned. So probably, governments, state governments can. It's all meant for the energy sector, industry sector, and forestry sector. So if forestry sector can go there, I don't see any reason why plantation sector cannot go there. But we are not listed there. Sorry, I took extra time.
Dr. James Tegib, an expert on carbon credit and carbon market and all that. He's been doing it for the last 20 years, probably. One last question, because CB Verghese has been, okay, last 2 questions. That's it.
Okay, see.
Right, yes, you will be the last one.
Myself is Srinivasan, Director Drops Chemicals. Past 22 years we are serving many more industry like rubber processing and agriculture sector. In this event is very helpful, many takeaways from the dice and from audience. Thanks, one more thing, very helpful. Thank you.
Yes. Madam, I am Dr. C.B., and technology head of recently retired from Rubber Board. Now I am working with Madam in the Kerala Rubber Limited. See, some people said, some comments I have to raise here, there was a carbon master batch, that when previously if we go back, when the lattice or the rubber price go down, people are always asking for rubberized bitumen. Now, in the morning, you might have seen some of the clever fellows said, that we cannot beat the price with fresh latex or fresh rubber, we have to go for waste rubber. Because otherwise, if you start with the fresh rubber, then the price of bitumen will go up. This technology we already RRI transferred to Kochi refinery. Now there is a pileup of rubber modified bitumen there because the price is very high and none of the contractor is going to use that one, of course. There are several other reasons also. Secondly, see now that after a lot of research, this thing came, we cannot use fresh rubber, only waste rubber. And again came to the master batch. Master batch, of course, is a nice concept, but it has its own inherent problems. It has drying problems, it has low ammonia, and again.
What's the question?
Question is, whenever we design focus problems projects, and I think discuss with the technologist whether it is good and work out the cost. Then only we move forward. The thing is, again, concentrate on latex-based industry rather than dry-based industry. My question is, we can convert latex into dry rubber. Can we convert dry rubber into latex? That's a question. So we are destroying a nano dispersion material which is easily shapeable and value-added material. See that I will give you, when you convert a latex into what is called a catheter, the value addition is around 40 times. And it's the same way, when you convert this into a tire, it is only 8 times. Okay, if you know that there is a weight and average, probably I calculated about 2 years back, but it is proportional. And it is never reached in between a lattice product. Thank you.
Thank you. One last question.
My name is Stanley. I'm an entrepreneur and a planter. Dr. Mukhopadhyay said the yield of the rubber plantation has come down from 1,500 kg per hectare to 800 kg per hectare, if I'm right. So there is fundamentally the yield of the rubber plantation is coming down, and you need to change the crop architecture. Rubber and best can be an intercrop. You need large trees with a root system to recycle the minerals. Otherwise, the yield will come down. It will benefit the planter and the soil. And crop architecture need to change. Are you doing anything to change the plantation law in that regard?
Crop has come down because the yield from northeast is also included. Kerala yield is still quite good.
Can we answer that question?
Yeah.
So Mukhopadhyay, that yield coming down, you only mentioned about it.
Yield is coming down because northeast Indian yield is added on to the average Indian yield. Kerala is still about 1,200. There it is only 800.
Not
so
for all
take,
plantations.
Huh?
I don't think so. It's for all plantations, sir. With all due respect.
It's certainly come down. That's more because of the fact that it cannot be tapped. They are not tapping it as it should be tapped. There are a lack of tappers. It is not anything to do with the tree or the soil. It's because the process of taking the latex out is not correct. That's all. Because of the lack of labor.
No, actually what I mentioned, Kerala was among all the 11 or 13 natural pollution countries that the highest per hectare. India, that was 1800, that was the figure I remember. But it brought down actually whatever the first thing.
If the price of rubber is 300 rupees, your productivity will come back to 1,800. There is no doubt about it. It's just the price. We are not looking at the price. Where the price goes up, we will produce. Don't worry.
I don't think so. You're right. It'll never reach 300.
No,
never.
We are saying if.
It'll never. I'm telling you straight away.
I'm telling you that is determined by the market, and I'll take a bet on you with that.
You can.
Yeah. I think we'll have a debate on this later on because it's an interesting area anyway. We had a very interesting and useful session with people from different sectors of the plantation industry participating here. We had Mr. Rajiv Budiraja, Mr. Vinod Simon, Dr. James Jacob, Dr. R. Mukhopadhyay and Dr. K. Matthew Abraham. Each of them spoke in depth from their knowledge base, and I'm sure that it would have benefited persons who are really interested in the sector and hope to get some investors coming into Kerala. The policies keep changing, nothing is static, so government's policies also keep changing, and I'm sure that if there are issues, it can always be sorted out. The plantation sector has issues which needs to be sorted out. The consumers have certain issues which also, probably every issue cannot be sorted out, then life becomes very boring. So let us work together to have a better plantation crop industrial sector in Kerala. I thank each one of you for taking out your time, accepting the invitation of Government of Kerala and coming here and participating in this session. We are grateful to each one of you. Thank you very much, and thank you for all the participants. Without you, there is no point in we having speakers. So I thank each one of the participants for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Sheila ma'am to felicitate the dignitaries on the dais with the mementos.